We were alerted to this story by a consumer, a client that bought a car and didn't get a title and was looking for assistance on how to get a title. And we did some research and investigation, and we found that the last owner of the vehicle was never paid for it. Here's what happened. The car dealer promised to sell a car for a consumer and give them the money after they sold it. And they got the title from the seller. But the title wasn't signed properly. Wasn't signed over at all because the seller said, I'm not going to sign it until I get my money. So the dealer still sold the car, took the money from the buyer, didn't have a legal title. Now the buyer's out the money, and the seller is out their car. Now this dealer was arrested. The dealer was arrested for the third time. He'd done this before. This happened to be in upstate New York. Arrested for the third time after allegedly sold a car without giving the victim the money for it. Investigators received a complaint of fraudulent vehicle sale in Bethlehem, found that the owner had sold the victim's car at auction and withheld the proceeds after promising the victim compensation for the sale. So they took the money for the sale, didn't give it to the victim. Now the buyer at the auction has a car but no title. This happens a lot. So if you're buying a car without a title, and even if you get a bill of sale, this person got an auction receipt, you're not going to be able to get a title if the last owner has never been fully compensated, because that last owner still has rights to the car even if you paid for it. The only way to be for sure that you're going to be able to get a title for the car is if somebody hands you the title certificate when you buy it and it's properly signed and it's a valid title. So anytime you purchase a vehicle without a title, you're at risk. Matter of fact, we had another example of that earlier today. One of our reps on the phone was talking to a customer, asking about what they should do. They're buying a car, and our rep told him, you shouldn't buy the car. If it doesn't have a title, you shouldn't buy it. This was a different story. This was a barn find 1967 GTX classic car, muscle car, that somebody was selling. The grandfather had died. The car had been in the barn for 20 years. And they were talking about doing the Vermont process or a bonded title. And they were probably going to do the Vermont. But then at the end they said, well, what would you do? And our rep told them, we would never buy a car without a title. Even though we're in the title business and we do thousands of titles every month, we don't recommend ever buying a car without a title. Now, most of the time when you contact us, you already bought the car. So you have to do something. But if you haven't yet purchased a vehicle and you're not getting a title, put it back on the seller to get that title. Now, you may never end up with the car because they might find some other sucker that will buy the car without a title. But that's their problem, not yours. You're better off buying a vehicle that has a title, even if you have to pay a little more. Because, look, some of the title fees you see online, we charge $159 to get a title. You might have to pay some other fees. And you might think, well, if I just discount the car $500 or $600, I'll be ahead of the game. Well, not so fast. Not every car is eligible for a title. If it's stolen, if it has liens, if it has back taxes, if it's a salvage, if it has any claims against it, no title method is going to work, right? So there's a chance that you'll never get a title. So make sure when you're purchasing a vehicle, either they hand you the title or don't hand them the money. Otherwise, you could end up like this guy. He was charged with third-degree grand larceny, falsifying business records, both felonies, scheme to defraud. Third time arrested this person in the last year. So don't think that just because the person is doing something wrong, they'll be off the streets. This person did it 3 times already. He was arrested on May 10th for falsifying business records. So be aware that you have to get a title when you buy a car. If you don't, just keep in mind that every dollar you spend for that car is at risk until you get that title, which most of the time will be okay, but a lot of things can come up to keep you from getting a title. Let us know what you think in the comments.